Cool guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about the films, series and documentaries I watched in June of 2020. So like I said in my last video, there was stuff I started in June which I haven't yet finished, so I'm not going to talk about those in June. I'll probably talk about those if I finish them in July, this next coming month of the year. So I just want to get that out there as a disclaimer, because there has been stuff that I've started about and potentially spoken about already, but I have not yet finished it and it's not going to be included in this video. So I'm going to try to keep this one shorter than I usually do with the other ones, so let's just get straight into it. I'm going to get going right away. So first up we have The Biggest Little Farm. This is a documentary that follows this couple as they sort of move away from city life to go and start their own farm. The really interesting thing about this is that they try to use natural methods and stuff like that to grow their farm and maintain the health of their farm. So instead of, like getting say for example chemicals to get rid of like snails on their plants, they will implement a natural way of getting rid of the snails that are eating their plants and stuff like that. So it's really, really interesting. It's a different perspective on farm life. I think farm life these days has become very sort of what's the cheapest, easiest solutions to stuff, whereas this couple, they look at things a bit differently and they try to implement a more natural way of farm life and maintaining a farm, which I thought was really, really interesting. Okay, and then finally this month we finished Mad Men. I was really, really stoked about that. I had until the 9th of June to finish it. It was going off Netflix. I'm not quite sure where Mad Men has gone now. I thought it was going to go onto HBO Max, but as far as I know it's not yet on that service, so I have no idea where it's sitting at the moment. But I was really satisfied with the show. I thought it was very, very interesting how it documented and sort of showed the progression of advertising through through the 60s till pretty much the 80s, I would say. And I thought it was really interesting following Don as well as the main character, Don Draper. John Hamm does a great job at that performance, and there's obviously incredible other characters as well. But it was just really interesting seeing his journey throughout the show and sort of where he ended up like going as a character. But at the same time you are sort of kind of rooting for him, because you sort of see his errors in his character and you sort of sympathize with that a bit. So it was really interesting watching that show and I really enjoyed it, and if you have not yet seen it, I highly recommend watching it. And then of course I've been continuing watching The Office with my family. We watched, I think, a bit of season 6 this month, the whole of season 7, and we also started season 8. And we're halfway through season 8 now, so I think that's correct. Either way, we've watched a couple seasons of The Office and it's one of the best shows ever made in my opinion. It's absolutely amazing. It's somehow still really, really relevant. I've just been picking up on some jokes that are super relevant to this day, and I think that just goes to show how well the show was written. And I don't know, the show just doesn't seem to be afraid of joking about anyone or everyone, and I think that's what makes the show so good. It doesn't sort of like make jokes about one thing, it sort of just makes jokes about everything, but at the same time it sort of celebrates our differences as humans, I guess. And I really enjoy that aspect of the show. Next up, I watched The 13th, which is a documentary on Netflix. I watched this with a friend on Netflix Party, which is a plugin you can get for your Chrome. I think it's only on Chrome at the moment, but I don't know why Netflix don't implement it themselves, but I don't know. Anyway, we watched this documentary, and yeah, I watched this documentary when it first came out a couple years ago, and it obviously hit really hard back then, and then just with everything that's happening in the world today, just rewatching it again, I was just really it just hits you to your core, man. And like, it's, despite what your opinions are on what's happening at the moment, I think it's a really insightful documentary of just the history of what it's meant to be a black person in America. And I think it's really insightful in that regard. So if you've not yet seen it, then I highly recommend watching it. It's really, really good, especially if you're not quite sure why people are protesting in America. I think this documentary is very insightful in that regard. Then I watched Spike Lee's latest film that is a Netflix original, Defy Bloods, and this film is also really, really great. I got a review for it on my channel if you do want to go check it out as well, if you want to know more of my thoughts on the film. But it's definitely not my favorite Spike Lee film, but I think it's a really, really good and well-made film. And I think, like, it came out at a really good time as well. Obviously, with all of Spike Lee's films, there's a lot of commentary on what's happening around the world today, and I would just say the whole film feels just super relevant. And what Spike Lee does so well, and I say this in my review, but he sort of manages to comment on things in society and whatever, but he manages to do it in such a way that's really captivating, and it adds to his story. It doesn't feel like it's sort of bombarding you or like bashing you with all this like political commentary, you know. It feels like it does, it flows nicely throughout his films and his story and his characters and you know, all that sort of stuff. Cool. And then another thing we watched on Netflix this month is Dating Around season 2. Why do I watch a show? So I don't know, I found the show really interesting. Pretty much each episode follows one person as they go on, like, I think it's 5 blind dates. And at the end of their 5 dates, they sort of have to choose one person that they want to have another date with. And I don't know, I just find it really interesting. Obviously, blind dates or just dating in general can be extremely awkward. And like first encounters and that are super awkward sometimes. So yeah, I don't know, it's really interesting to see how people react in these situations. And I don't know, like it's kind of interesting. Like some people you can just tell gel straight away. Some people are just awkward throughout the whole night, and I don't know, I just found it really interesting in that regard, and it does feel very authentic and real, although it is like being documented by a film crew. Some episodes are really dull, some episodes are really entertaining, and yeah, I don't know if you're into that stuff, you might enjoy it, I have no idea. Cool, and then I watched the Madagascar Trilogy. Yep, that happened. So what happened is I watched the first Madagascar one night, just because it was on Netflix and couldn't choose a film to watch, so I just put Madagascar 1 on, and then I was immediately reminded how nostalgic this film was for me. I watched it when I was a bit younger, and I really enjoyed the first film. Second one as well, I enjoyed a lot, and then I had never seen the third one, so I was like, let me just rewatch this whole trilogy, like we may as well watch it and just check it out. It's on Netflix, you know, it's easy to watch. So although I wasn't extremely invested rewatching this, and I kind of just left it on in the background at times, I did really enjoy it. I'd say the first one, in my opinion, was probably my favorite one. Second one is my second favorite, and then the third one was my least favorite. I don't know why, I just think the third one I don't know, it didn't really feel that exciting for me, and I don't know, I feel like these films progressively got like dumber, if that makes sense. So like just the way like how stuff works and stuff, it just became a bit like crazy. Like I kind of liked how the first one they were escaping from like captivity, and then they went into the wild, and then I don't know how to necessarily say it, but they just got a bit more like crazy, like just the way they were able to steal a plane and go to Africa, and then like at the beginning of the third one, they pretty much just show up in Europe and you have no idea how they got there. So I don't know, I just don't like how that stuff sort of worked. And I definitely thought the earlier films, like 1 and 2, were funnier than the third one. Third one felt very sort of kid orientated and it was aimed at kids. And I know these films are obviously aimed at kids, but I think in the first 2 there was a lot of like humor that older audiences could appreciate as well. Cool, and then I watched Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts, and this is the 2nd season on Netflix. This is an animated show. It's a really, really interesting animated show, 10 episodes long, each episode around like 20 minutes, and it's hard to really describe the show without going into like a full video on what the show is actually about. Pretty much you have humans, and then you have what they call mutes in the show, which are pretty much animals that have mutated and evolved a little bit. And the whole show is about Kipo, who's the main character. She's a human character trying to sort of discover what happened in her past, and try to sort of reunite with her parents. And yeah, season 2 definitely goes a lot more into that. I would say personally season 1 was a lot better, but I really enjoyed season 2 as well, regardless of that. It definitely does have a bit of an anime influence to it at times, just with regards to its animation and action sequences, which is cool. And yeah, I really enjoyed the show. I think it's a very strong animated series that's on Netflix at the moment. Cool, and then next up I watched Eurovision Song Contest, the story of Fire Saga. I think that's how you say it. But this is the latest film to drop on Netflix. Stars Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams as they compete in Eurovision, which is a song contest in Europe, and I really actually enjoyed this film. I know some people have really disagreed with me on that, and they didn't enjoy this film. I personally did. I thought it was a lot of fun. With regards to a Netflix original, I think it's one of the stronger ones. Look, it's definitely not the perfect film, but I definitely did enjoy a lot about it. Some of the jokes don't land, but some of the jokes I thought were really funny. And yeah, I just thought it was a good, entertaining film. Look, it's definitely not the perfect film, but there was a lot in the film that I enjoyed. And yeah, I don't know, I thought it was a fun film and a good and decent Netflix original, which again is quite rare these days. So I personally recommend it if you're into these sort of films. If you completely hate Will Ferrell and his comedies, then you're probably not going to enjoy this film. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. Cool, and then last but not least, I rewatched the first 2 seasons of Dark, and then I watched the third season for the first time this month on the 27th of June. Guys, I know you've probably heard me talk about the show like so often, but you have to watch it. You have to watch it. It's amazing. There's a lot of people on the internet that complain that there are no original projects or films or series or stuff like that happening anymore, and there's just so many reboots, prequels, and you know, all that sort of stuff. And I agree, that is definitely the case for the most part. But then you get series like Dark, and then no one watches it, and it upsets me, because it is an original series, an original story, and it is flipping mind-blowing how good the series is. Literally, I think like everything about the show is pretty much perfect. The cinematography is absolutely incredible. It's some of the best cinematography I've seen in ages. Acting's incredible. Production design, hair and makeup, the casting in the show is mind-blowingly good. And if you've watched the show, you'll know why I say that. And I don't know, I just think it's a brilliant show, a brilliant original story, and I don't think enough people have watched it. And if you guys are looking for original content that is good, you definitely have to check out Dark. It is amazing. And I've said this before, but this was a very ambitious project, I feel like, for Netflix to go on board with. And for them to trust the creators of the show and to make the show as good as it is without interfering, I think it says a lot about Netflix and the streaming service. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Dark it's probably my favorite Netflix original at this moment. I cannot wait to see what the creators of Dark do next. They are doing another show for Netflix as we speak. I think it's been delayed because of coronavirus. But I absolutely cannot wait. It's by far been some of my favorite content I've viewed throughout these last couple of years. I think Dark is absolutely incredible, and I've been completely obsessed with it since it came out in 2017, the first season. So please watch it. If you have seen it, let me know in the comments down below, because I do want to talk to people about it and no one's watched it. So yeah. But guys, that is all I watched in June. It was a good month. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for your time. I know these videos are a bit longer than usual, so thank you for sticking around. And if you guys watched anything that I didn't watch this month that you recommend watching, let me know in the comments down below and let everyone else know. I think it's great during this time to be able to watch, you know, good content, whatever it is, on any streaming service. So yeah, I'm really looking for good stuff to watch. So if you do have anything, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining me today as well, and I hope you guys are doing well, staying healthy and staying safe during these crazy times. Thank you, and bye bye.